Okay, so first off, the minutes. Anybody have any comments from the minutes from last meeting? No.
Good to me.
No, I'm good here.
How do you propose it?
I'll propose to accept the minutes from our last meeting, whenever that was.
Second.
All right, so moved. Okay, so those are approved. Our next meeting is May 11, 6 p.m. Is that going to work?
Yep.
I will not be here. Try to call in, but I think want to hear it in person.
Yeah, I guess so.
Never. Make sure there's no fireworks or anything.
Yeah, thanks.
Okay, correspondence. We have, yeah.
You have a Zoom issue.
Oh, okay.
If you're trying to go in from the town website, it's not letting anybody in.
Okay.
Got the tab you. That's what I'm fix that.
You want us? Should we hold off? If people can people see it?
Nope.
Okay.
I was trying to zoom in and I.
Okay. So we'll just hold off for a second. Another copy if anybody wants of the mooring code. I was looking at the stake mooring and really question. I didn't find anything particular, but I always wanted a real copy of that.
Bill, I was mistaken about which property it was. He owns both of those. It's like, it's actually in front of, that's where you saw the stairs and everything. What we were talking about the other day. I was mistaken. That it was on that other property without a house on. I mean, neither one has a house, but it's sort of part of where he has his house.
So it's one lot?
I mean, it's separated by the road, but it's not, it's, it's always been with that since that I remember. Maybe different tax map numbers.
Well, then it would be a.
I'm just, I just want to make sure that you understood it was always with that house.
Okay, well. Find out. So we didn't get all the paperwork on. So we're gonna do Hubbard.
It probably makes sense. What do you guys think?
Not
Hold up.
stuff out and
Yeah, pull that up front.
the simpler stuff, I should say. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, that's hard to think.
We didn't get the full set of stuff on pipe. We didn't get all the.
We have this, they had three copies.
Here's one more hard
What would
copy.
you like to see? You want to see this hard copy? Oh, you have the other one?
I do.
Okay. And it was there a second?
Confused me.
With it?
There's only one. There's just one more.
locations that she's-
If you want.
Well, we can
Pass it
send it
around.
down there, right?
Yeah,
That's right.
take it around.
I'd like to do it too.
This one, the other one, is one This one isn't the right spot.
88 foot is under,
Yeah.
is under 3.
No.
100 looks like it's under 2.
No, this is the town right away, right?
You see these photographs and correspondence.
But
Yeah.
if that's gonna be a sleep mooring pull, that's gonna.
Just curious as to what that
Somebody else's property. No, I mean, if this was over, here, this was over here, you could do it.
From the WMAC webpage, not the calendar. The calendar seems to be wrong, the WMAC page matches ours. Can you put a note on the calendar? Yeah. Or maybe in the.
So
You can tell the
when
calendar.
I took this and extended it by 12 feet,
So this is not a stake, no.
you don't get to the 4.7.
That's the proposed number 2.
100.
Yeah.
I do.
I got the impression that, yeah, the second one was stake one before.
And one
the other
other
was-
more.
It's hard to, funny. It's like, maybe that's what it is, that it's, one is a mooring and one is a stake mooring.
And the one over by Ram Island, by the causeway,
But
I don't see how it could be a stake.
basically,
It's way out there.
Get long weeks.
so it's gonna be
Break into.
3/8.
It's going. Be nice to get this going.
Yeah.
The price on it.
Let's go to bed.
50 feet is 1/4 inches.
And a quarter one.
Wonderful.
Oh, where'd you say one? Is it not printed to scale?
That's weird, right? Why don't you go, yeah, it's on printed scale, so it's really 1/4.
That's extra confusing.
Basically,
That's the.
We had this.
4 inches,
Experiencing.
What do you think? The current size, yes.
Right, it's down the showing. Yes, correspondence.
1/4 is
Yeah,
feet.
likewise.
If you look, so
There were one or two more that I saw.
8,
Yeah, I think
there's 3/8 to it. It gets you to
They're also front and back.
number there, but it only gets you above the center line.
Like one less than half a foot, yeah.
Yeah, gets you just above the, what was that, 4, what did it say, 4.5, 3?
It's 4.3, so it gets you 2.5, whatever, a quarter foot.
correspondence concerning.
And then when you look at the,
Pictures in the middle, I don't know which one that goes to.
The readings can be pretty variable depending on when, how.
I know, but it's just a matter of superimposing.
Right, I mean, it makes sense. I'm throwing in the text.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And
Like for you about anything
the
specific.
whole point being, look out for, show what
Stake mooring point system, because
it
I
makes.
didn't find anything in.
The stake,
Like five
stake
times, they started the same
has
place.
to be on, has to be on town.
Being that you
Probably invites to more attention for the
The
stake.
problem is
By going to the next one, yeah.
the one that exists is right in the middle of the right away there, of the town landing.
Fortunately, that comes with a.
What are you talking about?
Way Road, the hill there,
There's a couple of sticks down there.
That's called, what's the name of the word? It's called
They always called it McLean's Alley.
right. There's something, but there's at least the one is in the middle. So it's sort of, I don't even know you could fit two.
There may not be enough room. Ideally, you'd want to see what the survey looks like of that road,
Yeah.
all right? And if it's,
It's probably 50
I
feet.
mean, technically, right, it might be 50 feet, it might be a lot less than 50. I think it's a lot less than 50 feet, just based on,
This goes back to the shoreline task.
you have survey, the task force has surveys of every,
Can I bring that?
landing. But it doesn't look like there's room for more, where you would never, we have never allowed it in my, allowed like a state mooring pulley to intersect a property line,
Yeah.
an extended property line.
Or it actually makes landfall on somebody.
Or, yeah, right, I mean, that's just not,
All right.
There's a little, there was a little
There's one or two.
discussion at Daniel Ward, of course, but
And then-
But if, if they're the owner. Sell.
Oh, they own it themselves, yes, right, yeah, mine is on my property. But, the extension line on my property.
If you have time, you want to discuss it without a vote, that's fine, otherwise, I'm not in a rush, I mean, another month, I'll be. Yeah, no, okay, yeah.
Yeah, because I know, I use that town landing often. I'll come ashore there, if I gotta walk to town or something, I'll come ashore there with my whaler.
Right.
And even do the 2 acre thing, go ashore. And I know that there's one steel pole side of that landing.
Right. That's one that we had recently allowed, I believe.
Okay, so that was a recent one that we, that's my mistake. And where it sits as to the property line, I have no idea.
Well, it was kind of in the middle of the road, so it was,
It's not in the middle of the access
Overlay
road.
of the property lines, but it doesn't really tell you exact. And
Doesn't
that's
tell-
only,
right.
I didn't pull up the, oh yeah, that's much better.
Yeah.
it's definitely part of the road, you know, but it was called some other road, but I don't know. It looks like if the regular road is 50 feet, which most of them are, then this looks like it's a little bigger, actually. I don't know how.
Even those aren't that accurate.
I know, I know.
know.
It's not, it doesn't want to tell me it's. And it looks like the neighbor is approaching.
Moving it or using a different location. He has no objection, his client has no objection to having a different location.
It's easier.
Thank you very much.
No, the Zoom thing
No.
not working.
Someone else from that is listening.
I don't know.
Oh, okay.
Got something?
Kelly, was that something?
Okay.
Somebody got some, like,
All right. Okay.
we got a person.
We should ask her how she got in. What's the drag?
Should we proceed?
Apologies.
Okay. All right. Apologize for the technical difficulties. Hopefully people can get access from the outside. Okay, so correspondence. I did get the clerk's got an incoming email from Dwight Sergan from First Coastal asking about dot code and interpretations. I had a follow-up phone conversation with him. Just to briefly, I shared that we have a two-stage vote process. There's WMAC and the town board. I'm but one vote, and then I proceeded to, we had a follow-up call. I answered the questions that he had, hopefully okay, but I did note that it was just my opinion, which I know that not everybody shares. Otherwise, we also have a decent amount of communications for the Pike dock. I think all of the other ones were for specific Pike docks. We'll bring those up when we get to actual Pike dock. If that's okay. In which case, can we move to, that's all I had for correspondence. I don't know if anybody else had any separate.
Want to do Bo first, or you want to
Yeah,
let?
let's go to Bo, and then actually, I think we'll just make an adjustment, bringing the Hubbard mooring up to first new business, because I think that should be quicker, until we can move that set of folks out, and then I think the other agenda items might be a bit longer. So just to try to accommodate.
Overbrook should be pretty quick. Overbrook should be pretty fast too, so.
Yeah,
Right.
we want to.
Yeah, flip the whole thing around.
Right. So okay, so we'll do Hubbard, and then Overbrook, and then Pike. Okay.
Sounds good.
All right. So Bo.
Howdy, y'all. Not a whole lot for you really, to be honest with you. Haven't had a winter. That's evidenced by the fact that we are now putting all the buoys back in. Seems like we just got done taking them out, but I guess that's how calendar works. So, we started last week with all the ACE navigation, and hopefully pending cooperation with everything else that's going on at the same exact time, we should have that wrapped up by the end of this week, which is pretty much the normal for deployment and that stuff. We'll hold off on the anchorage release until we get a little bit closer to the May 15th deadline for requiring non-residents to anchor in that area. Other than that, I don't really have much for you. I missed the last meeting because I was away training, so I'm sorry if anything came up that I wasn't able to address at that point. Anything for me specifically?
Are you gonna move the green marker by Daring Point?
No. Nor number 12, which is right next to number 11, nor find number 17, or the other number 17, or number 19. So the Coast Guard is well aware that all of their aids to navigation are
Everywhere.
right? Everything is really screwed up. They have given me a timeline of some time. That was their official.
That was the official.
They will come and fix it sometime. As you can imagine, we're not the only ones in that situation, meaning township or area, so they have their hands full. They're, as I said, we've notified them of everything that we are aware of, and they will come and address it at their time. We don't have the capacity or the authority to deal with their ACE navigation. We can only do private ACE navigation, the ones that we have. Once the size and associated with them, we certainly don't have to do that.
Do we have any sort of standard notification to Shelter Island voters that, hey, just be aware these markers have moved?
We don't.
We don't. It's okay. I just
We don't, but it's, we have the ability to probably push that out either through the town's notification system or probably more appropriately, the online mooring system might be able to address, something pretty directly and pretty simply. I could certainly make that happen, probably prior to like the May 15th period of time. Yeah.
Not a bad idea.
Yeah, it's a good idea.
Yeah.
I like it.
Yeah.
Yeah. I can do that in, as quick as I can type up a message, we can send it out to any or all of the online mooring applicants. So
I guess.
Help, yeah.
Okay.
that's a good idea. I'll look into that. We are aware that there's many floating docks and pilings, et cetera, out and about. We have recovered several floating docks. We're trying to find the rightful owners of them. Jack?
I refer to guy.
Customers are missing from?
I
No, you don't want us to find them.
I refer to guy to you from Mananic Road.
Yes, I have his. I'm getting it back to probably tomorrow. So if we're in contact with the Southhold folks, the Sag Harbor folks, East Hampton folks, the Southampton folks, so we're all constantly sharing photos of docks and things that we're finding. So I encourage you, if you're missing something of yours, just reach out to us. It doesn't have to be a phone call to 911 or anything like that, but simple phone call to my headquarters or an email to me or any of the other Marine units. And we'll keep an eye out. So hopefully we can get most of that stuff back to where it belongs and keep going.
And on that subject, kind of, the sailboat,
Yeah.
what's happening, how?
Okay, so the sailboat, unfortunately, right, the sailboat belongs to an individual who drowned this winter trying to retrieve that sailboat.
Oh, no.
God.
Out of Cutchogue. It was locked in the ice for about 3 weeks. It broke free from the ice one day about a month and a half ago. And we recovered it to prevent it from obviously becoming a wreck or being involved in ferry collision, anything like that. So we are currently holding it pending the next of kin's ability to retrieve it. So
That's the one down on,
I think Dickerson.
Dickerson.
Yeah, so
Wow.
unfortunately it's there.
Why is it gonna move my boat in there?
That is the reason it's there, right? So we use, just so everybody understands, we use any available marine infrastructure that the town owns
Yep.
for police holding.
Yep.
Right? We have a couple of moorings that are designated for that. in this particular circumstance, it wouldn't have made sense for us to move that all the way around to one of our moorings at the time, which was isolated at the time. So if it turns into a longer term thing, we probably will move it to one of those holding moorings and free up that space again. But in the near term, that's why that's there.
Okay, on that note, would it behoove the town to have a holding mooring for official use in West Neck?
Yeah, we've played with that a little bit before, and almost all of the time that we've done that, we've been able to figure out a solution for it, because it's sort of a low lift, right? We don't
Yeah.
frequently, ironically, we don't frequently need a holding mooring in that body of water.
Yeah.
And more often than not, Dickerson Creek can suffice for whatever it is until we can sort it out shortly. I retrieved a boat that broke loose last year, and the next morning the person came and got it. So it's something that we thought about. If the time came that we really needed it, we would put it in.
You don't see an uptick in this, it's just normal?
It's one or two here and there, sometimes there's a few more, but it's nothing that we haven't been able to accommodate. All right,
Thank you.
sounds good. Good luck.
Anything from the town board? His office.
Just visiting.
Okay. All right. Great. Okay. I don't have anything major. I just wanted to point out we're trying to get information related to the relevant code posted onto our website. That's our section of the website, so that it's out there and open and people can easily access it. I know I still have challenges trying to find where it is, so great. And also to get on the agenda, just to remind everybody, we do try to get, we want 3 days business notice so that people can, especially for a larger proposal, so that all the people on the committee can have an opportunity to review it. And that hopefully will be posted onto the WMAC page as well. That's all I have. On to Hubbard mooring application. So, Bert.
I'm here if you need me.
Okay, great.
Okay.
So this is, do you want, Bird, do you want to talk about it, or the applicant? I mean, this is a mooring application.
Can start, I'll add to it.
Sure. I mean, so this is an application for either a stake mooring and pulley or a mooring itself. Two different locations. That was unclear exactly from here, but.
Yes.
Just
I just want to get the boat over.
if you would just state your name.
My name's Julia Hubbard.
Thanks.
I'm a full-time on Shelter Island for the last 4 years, and the boat has been, I came from Sag Harbor, so the boat's been in Sag Harbor this whole time. It's a 17-foot montauk, but I would really love to get it here. And so I finally figured out that Bert's help I was a little boggled by the application, but I finally figured out and got help about the map and the longitude and the latitude. And since I'm at the corner of Smith and Baldwin, the sort of south and west side, I prefer that. But really just getting the boat here. And I'm used to the boats and cable because it's been on the cables in Sag Harbor for the last 15 years or something, but I'd be happy with anything. I do not own a dinghy, so there's that, but I do own paddle boards, so I could get out to it with a paddle.
And off of the causeway, that's what you would do.
That's how, so I drove around and I looked at all of the things, and I talked to Bert about what would be available. And I was hopeful that one, since it's the closest to me, I could bike there, or walk there, even. Was attractive. But again, really just looking to get the boat here.
So preference number 2 is a conventional mooring, right? Understanding that, and preference number 1 is lake mooring and pulley.
I guess ideally, just because I could get to the boat, but again.
Right. The problem that it appears as though the mooring, from the stake mooring and pulley would intersect the extended property line of the adjacent neighbor, which is something that we would not normally do. We would want the lines, the pulleys, on town property.
That makes sense.
I don't know what else, I mean, wouldn't see a problem if you wanted a mooring area that didn't have a line attached to it that goes back. You know, I would think that would be one possibility that would keep you in that area, but unfortunately not have a string to leave out.
That would be okay.
But, I don't know,
It might be, whether it works for this or not, but it would be good to get that, paper road surveyed, so that we, on the GIS map, it looks larger than the right of way, which, the regular road, Midway Road, is usually a 50-foot right of way. And this thing looks like it's wider, when you look at it. In fact, the house to the east, I guess, or north, no.
That's east.
Well, when you're going down the hill there to the left,
Oh, okay. So
it shows on the GIS map, it shows it encroaching onto that line.
Okay.
So it might be handy just to find out, and but we may have a survey from when he applied for a dock. That guy.
That's right. Right.
Oh, because that was the really narrow one.
Yes.
Right. But it might not have the.
It might not have the other side of it.
Yeah, that's a really good point, though. That was,
Right.
was it Sun is Shining?
Yes.
So the shining is on the other side, but also the adjacent neighbor on the north side or
We
east.
did
side
okay a dock there
Also,
too.
just did a dock not that long ago.
Yeah.
So you would have those two surveys to compare.
Right. I mean, are there other, I mean, there's a current existing mooring at that location,
Yes.
Already.
Well,
Right. It looks like in the middle.
Okay,
more or
yeah.
less.
right? And so the question is, like, can we actually fit two stake mooring pulleys if there was
Sufficient room.
sufficient room? But without that, I think it's just a mooring would seem viable to me.
I'd like to accommodate with a pulley line if at all possible. I'm wondering if there isn't maybe something else in the neighborhood that would be applicable, versus you taking your paddleboard out to get into a boat. I'm wondering, is there something across the creek? There's not many town landings on this side of the creek, but is there something on the other side that would be something you'd want, or is it easiest just to go for mooring?
Don't have enough knowledge to know exactly. It was my understanding that like Daniel Ward's has a waiting list, and then I looked at one on the South Menantic, like the Jig-Jag back in there, and I think that it's more or less full. I mean, there are a lot of moorings already in there. But that's as far as I got, so I was sort of hoping you guys would know.
I mean,
Jessica, can you zoom out on the creek to show the other side of the creek as well? There's a there's a town landing where the old Cronin house used to be. There's also another town landing. Yeah, if you go, where are we? Yeah, there's a town landing right there, and it appears there's one pulley line there. I mean, that's a little more of a distance on a bike, say, like you were asking for, but there might be something on that side.
I'd be delighted with that, no problem.
I don't know what's available there, though.
Though that off of the Midway Road site, if it was just a mooring,
Then it's just a mooring, yeah.
then it'd be easier for it to leave a paddleboard down
Yeah,
at that town
there's a-
landing. I think you could just apply and get the sticker.
Right.
Yeah,
Better than going all the way to the causeway.
Yeah, I mean, it's entirely up to her. I just said that there might be other options for a pulley line elsewhere if he wants that. That's.
so my take, I guess, is that I don't think we can move ahead until we see a survey with the stake mooring, and with the stake aspect of it, stake and pulley. But if you wanted to go ahead with mooring, then that's something that we could probably do right now. If you wanted to wait, we get that information, because we do have those we probably could get surveys from those two adjoining properties to actually take a look and then map that to the existing.
I'm pretty sure we have a survey in Lesser Lane as well.
of the town lanes.
Do you know what
But
the
that
name
would
of that?
probably be
road
for
is?
next, that would be for,
Lesser Lane, that's it.
That's the lane, that's
We have a survey, it's in the shore.
I thought it would be, yeah.
So,
so that would be, we adjourn to probably next month to take a look at that. So what's your preference?
I mean, I would guess if there's a good shot to get the fully lined.
I mean, if we approved the mooring now,
Yes and no.
we could, and it turned out there was
So I don't know.
room to put a stake mooring and pulley, we could amend it and, at least
That's
she
true.
would be moving ahead for the season and whatever, she'd know where the boat was gonna go, more or less.
Yeah,
I like that
I'm
idea.
inclined to say just a mooring off of,
Lesser
South Midway.
The, lesser lane,
Lesser Lane.
lesser lane.
Oh, let's
Yeah.
do
Yes,
that.
that's the area, that's what that's called right there, where you're talking about, the big hill.
Oh,
Yeah.
The
okay.
name was eluding me, but there it is.
Okay. So that's your preference, is to just do that and then do an amendment
I think-
after the fact? Okay.
Getting something done would be the preference.
That sounds
Okay, so
Sunshine, I don't know.
pick a point, or is there,
Yes, and you go.
any other,
She has proposed coordinates on there, she hasn't, Jess hasn't depicted mine that bit, right there.
oh, okay, yeah, there we go then. Yep.
So that was a traditional mooring. That would be the location of the traditional mooring rather than the Essen pit, correct?
so okay, the last one.
Is the proposed, okay.
Well, what about the point on land? Is it, so we're going for the stake mooring and pulley here, or we're going for the? Okay.
Actually, while we're talking about that and the adjustment, the one thing that we did want to make sure is that getting the access to the stake location on shore, making sure that that's actually, that's part of that survey sort of question. Anybody else have any other concerns about?
What is the distance to shore there from the pin? Can you determine that? Okay.
85 feet.
Is that, seems a bit long for,
No, it's not a pulley line, it's a mooring.
no,
So
but
I'm
if it's just as
curious.
more, but if we adjust after the fact,
Well,
would then be
if
moved? or would
you kept it, if it became a pulley line, then you could pull it back to the same spot as that other one, be in line.
Well, then you'd pull it inshore,
Right,
yeah.
like to just be in line with the one that exists, 36, 37.
Yep. $17-foot boat, right?
Yep. It doesn't draw anything.
Yeah, no. Seems all right.
What's the existing boat
Oh, on 3,
at 3.7? It's not going to be too close to that.
can you hit on 3637? Just see what, who's there?
So 3637 is an applicant who lives 2 doors down.
Is that a riparian?
That's it for holding mooring.
Oh,
Is that a pulley line or a mooring?
That one's a regular mooring, but
Oh.
3, I can't see it now, I'm sorry. You can kill that.
that's been,
3386, which is that mooring boat that's on shore right there, is
Right.
approved mooring. I believe that that's a approved stake and pulley
Oh, okay.
in that area. So this proposal, Ms. Hubbard's proposal, appears to be offshore of wherever that ends.
Right.
And I don't recall seeing an actual,
I don't think it's actually there.
I know there's a post there, but I don't think that, I've never seen any gear there, so.
But it's an approved
Yeah,
permit. So-
and it's actually permitted, there's someone currently assigned to it?
Yep, that's why it
Okay.
looks like a little ball mooring.
Okay.
So then that post adjustment probably wouldn't actually be viable then, if it would overrun the pre-existing.
Well, I mean, if it turned out there was room there, then I think we'd adjust it to be in line with that other one.
Yeah.
And, when you're getting pulley lines close together, like, the lagoon, you fore and aft, you tie it to so that it's not swinging into each other.
Any other thoughts? Anybody want to make a motion?
I move to approve mooring in the position that's shown off of Lesser Lane.
Second.
Okay. All in favor?
Aye.
Thank you.
Thank you.
And the part I didn't understand, am I trying to get it readjusted into a, or am I just going with a traditional mooring forever?
Well, if you, I think the point is, if it turns out that the survey shows that there's room to have 2 stake mooring and pulleys there, we'll advise you and you can
Okay,
amend
you guys
yours.
look at- I don't
If
look
that's
at
what
the
you
survey. You
would
look at the survey.
We're gonna get that.
Got it, okay,
It seems to exist already, according to Bo.
super. Thank you so much.
Overbrook.
The bulkhead, right?
Place like that.
Right. It's pretty humble looking there.
Pretty standard.
I just had one question on this application. I assume you're gonna bring materials in with a barge, and there'll be a crane on the barge.
Jack Costello, on behalf of the applicant. We'll probably bring most of it in by land. Like, it's such small stuff. I mean, we're talking 8-foot plastic sheets.
Right.
4x6 stringer, it's really nothing.
Oh, okay.
And the landscapers are gonna need access because we're gonna put in a 10-foot non-turf buffer. And then actually the non-turf buffer is bigger, larger towards the north end of the property, just because it's kind of like the lay of the land of what's there.
Yeah.
So the only change basically what's there is the non-turf buffer.
That's all that.
But
The only concern was materials being brought in over the marsh, but if you bring it all in from land, it's not even an issue.
yeah, and the marsh isn't very big.
There's
We can
hardly
reach-
any marsh down.
Yeah, we can reach right over the marsh.
That's what I assumed. If you had a crane, you're going right over the marsh.
Yeah, and like I said, the material are like
It's smaller,
Yeah.
yeah.
The non-turf buffer is used with bulkheads just so the temperature breaks down before it gets to the water. So basically, they don't want turf. The bulkheads will just be like keeping out the beach grass, rivers, bayberry, things like, indigenous species. So which the client agreed to in our conference with the DEC. And there's plenty of room in the backyard to do that without really handicapping them with the usage. So it'll be a better situation than it was.
That's a unique little corner up in there.
Okay.
One section of marsh grass versus everywhere around it. That's pretty, I said an eel pot right there.
Yeah, it's only by one side of the property, then this disappears, but that's just the way it's going.
Guess you're gonna take out the hedge where it intersects the bulkhead.
I don't think we'll have to. Yeah,
There's a break in that hedgerow, I think, isn't there?
yeah,
It has to be to be able to walk through there.
yeah, like I said, this one's a slam dunk. There's nothing, this is gonna be a better situation than it was when we started. It's gotta be done.
All right with it. I mean,
Yeah.
I don't know.
I don't have any issues with it.
Well, okay, I move to approve the Overbrook application as.
Second, all in favor?
Aye.
Thank you. So the next,
Read out for me.
next item on the agenda is the, this has been back, it has been here before, back again. Welcome.
A very brief booklet. I'd like to reference a few things just to orient us. I know you're familiar with it, but I think it would be helpful. Thank you.
If you would just, when you get back, just introduce yourself for those online.
Evening, members of the council. My name is John Stelakis, counsel with the law firm Farrell Fritz. And with us here tonight are members of the development team, Jack Costello from Costello Marine Contracting Corp., Kelly Risotto from Land Use and Geological Services, who's joining us via Zoom. And it appears we have some of the applicant representatives as well. We represent the Chad Rustin 2012 Revocable Trust, the owner of the subject property at 6 Bluff Avenue. With its application for a residential dock permit application. For ease of reference, I want to run through a few exhibits in this booklet. If you look at Exhibit 1, which is identified as sheet DA6B1, this shows the proposed dock relative to existing conditions in the area, including an existing dock that is approximately 600 feet to the west at 22 Prospect Avenue, as well as improvements to the east at the Shelter Island Heights Beach Club, including the westernmost groin at approximately 350 feet and the club's dock at approximately 400 feet to the east of our proposed dock. Exhibit 2 is a larger scale depiction of the conditions in the area and showing the fetch distances across the cove to the other side. Just to orient you to where the proposed dock is going to be located relative to the area. The initial application, at least the depiction of the actual dock itself with the measurements is at Exhibit 3. This proposed a 5-foot by 110-foot main pier leading to a 5 by 27 L section at the seaward terminus, together with a 70-foot splashboard system, 1 2-pile dolphin, 3 ladders, and 1 bench. This council previously reviewed that proposal and reported to the town board as follows: 2 in support with splashboards, 1 in support without splashboards, and 3 opposed. During the town board's review process, an issue is raised as to mean low water depth. As we know, the code provides that a dock may not extend beyond 100 feet from mean high water or beyond the point where mean low water depth reaches 4 feet, whichever occurs sooner. The proposed dock initially did not exceed the 100 feet, so we met that limitation. However, the dock did reach mean low water depth of approximately 4.7 feet, which exceeded the 4-foot depth limitation. Accordingly, the trust submitted a revised plan showing a reduced dock length so as not to extend beyond a mean low water depth of 4 feet. The dock was shortened 11.5 feet to a length of 88.5 feet, and a copy of that revised plan is at Exhibit Tab 4. The trust also submitted an analysis provided by Costello dated January 9, and that's at Exhibit 5. This analysis addressed the mean low water depth issue and requested approval for the initially proposed 4.7 feet of mean low water depth to provide adequate berthing. The L-shaped design provides berthing area for the vessel. The initial proposal provided for berthing depths between 2.5 and 4 feet. The DEC requires a minimum berthing depth of 2.5 feet to mitigate propeller wash and disturbance of the venting environment. The revisions provide for shallower berthing depths of 1.9 to 3.8 feet, given the reduced dock length. So the longer dock provides greater environmental protections, as well as greater functionality overall. The longer dock is also consistent with dock development in this area, specifically the existing dock to the west at 22 Prospect Avenue. And a copy of that dock's plans is attached in Exhibit C in your booklet. The Trust's proposed dock is in the same shape and configuration with an L section at the seaward terminus. And the town board approved that existing dock with a length of 125 feet from mean high water and reaching a mean low water depth of approximately 6.5 feet, both longer and deeper than the code permits. The existing dock to the west also includes a 65-foot splashboard system. With respect to the splashboards, Land Use Ecological Services provided an analysis of splashboard impacts or the lack thereof on sedimentation and vegetation, and this analysis is at Exhibit 7 in your booklet. The analysis looked at the existing dock to the west as a sample and concluded that the splashboards did not adversely impact the environment and did not cause erosion. Our proposed splashboards were designed utilizing best management practices that are accepted by the DEC and the Army Corps. They do not extend the entire length of the dock. They do not connect to the beach. They're elevated 2 feet above grade, and they have 2 to 3 inch gaps between the boards. Splashboards are necessary because they reduce wave energy, especially given the fetch distances, and they provide a more secure berthing area while simultaneously allowing for uninterrupted sediment transport. The Trust respectfully requests that this council recommend approving both the initial and revised dock plans for the town board's consideration. I thank you for your time, and I'd allow anyone from our team who would like to emphasize additional points to speak, and we're happy to answer any questions. Jack Costello on behalf of the applicant. I'm here, guys, to answer any questions you have. We reduced the size of the dock. We would like the longer dock approved, just because it'll be more functional. We've done this customarily, always on outside waters, going above the 100-foot rule and going above the 4-foot rule. So it's just something for you guys to consider. We've been through this application before. It got kicked back to you guys, so you guys can look at the shorter length. Out of respect to you, the town wanted to do that, and then that's why we're back here to you. This has been going through enough. So I'm here to answer any questions that you could possibly have, but like I said, we've all sat here and done this before. So I don't want to take up too much of your time.
Jessica, were you able to get that overlay so we could take a look at it? It was of the email that I forwarded to you. Maybe I didn't see it this afternoon. The 2 docks, one on top of the other, the 88-foot on top of the 100-foot. So, yeah, it was late this afternoon. You might have missed it. So the question I had was, when I look at the 88-foot dock, the exhibit there, and the plans, and I use that scale and I add an additional 11.5 feet to those set of plans, I only get to 4.3 feet. And when I look at the plans for the 100-foot dock, somehow it reaches 4.7 feet. So I'm trying to understand how these 2 plans match up. I had an overlay of one on top of the other, and it shows that adding 11 feet to the 88-foot dock doesn't get you to the 4.7 feet, but I could show you now with a ruler how it doesn't get there. So I don't understand how you get out to 4.7 feet with the 100-foot dock. And I'm also curious, throughout council's narrative, they keep referring to an 84-foot dock that gets to 4 feet. The written narrative that your firm provided, it constantly refers to 84 feet, and then the plans are 88.5 feet. So I was just wondering how we got from 84 feet to 88.5 feet to reach 4 feet of water.
It's a cloud narrative discrepancy. I believe that narrative was submitted before the plan was finalized, and that's why it was an approximation. But we're going by the plans.
Okay,
Can I have, you have a vote for it there, Bill?
yeah. So it appears to me that there's discrepancy, a measurement discrepancy between the two plans. And the point I'm making by pointing this out is that the 100-foot dock only gets you to about 3 or 4 inches of additional depth. So to me, the 100-foot, which would require a variance under the old code, it doesn't make any sense. You don't pick up any significant depth by going out the additional 11.5, 12 feet. I can't explain why you have two different plans show up differently on the bathymetric map, but they do.
If you,
Looks like everything's the same to me.
No, I mean, I could.
I mean, if the scale is right, you know, and you try to take the scale from.
This guy copied and pasted.
Oh,
Oh, is that the scale?
This is not the scale.
That's not the scale.
No, but we tried to.
yeah, we
skew
did it.
to scale.
It's 1 1/4
It's not
inches.
the scale.
It's 1 1/4 inches to 50 feet on this.
But if this is
But anyway, you said,
50 feet,
you're saying there's no benefit to having the 100-foot dock and 88,
you can still,
5-foot dock is
right.
more acceptable to you? You're saying this isn't,
I'm a little less. I don't see any justification for going out the 100-foot to the 100-foot dock because you only pick up a couple
Well,
of,
you're saying the return is not much.
the return is not enough.
you pick up a few inches for 12 feet or 11.5.
The only thing I would say about that, you know, is just
It's more of a, I'm sorry.
navigating it, you know, the water depth doesn't matter that much. It's the navigating, get the boat in there, you know? I mean, the closer you are to the shore, you know, in a northwest wind, well, God forbid they're putting a boat there then.
It's more about getting offshore of the 2.5 contour.
I think it's safer.
Then the actual water depth is more about getting.
Longer dock.
It's more about getting further away from that 2.5 contour where they want the boat berthed. So that's, even though you're saying that we're not picking up a lot of water depth out here, it's moving it out further away from this particular line. So the berthing area is actually a little bit bigger. And
11.5 feet.
it's 11.5 feet we're talking about from here to there.
Well, I mean, it's a good point that you're going to need room to navigate this boat in the area, which brings up other points.
You're limiting the size of the boat basically by shortening the dock to the 88 feet or whatever it is. You're just limiting, now we're talking about a 25-foot boat or a 20-foot boat being that rather than a 30-foot boat. But it's not necessarily the offshore depth that we're concerned about. It's really where that 2.5 contour is and having that berthing area longer.
Well, a smaller boat might benefit everyone because then you won't be trying to navigate in those difficult waters, as you just pointed out, would require the boat to need a great area to swing around and into that dock and puts it closer to the beach club. Which is the other issue.
Is there a boat in existence now that is going to go on this dock? I mean, if there's not, would he limit it to 25 feet? If that's a selling point?
That's the thing. I mean, the owner has several boats.
The boat photographs longer than 25 feet.
Yeah, so it's going to be a situation where
Not much.
they're going to have to tweak what they have. I mean, but it's a situation, this is a situation where we have two sets of plans to talk to you guys and see what is more palatable. You know, like you said, you can see the berthing area and like we're looking for leniency to the 4-foot rule. But, you know, we're not going over the 100. So it's just about the length of that berthing area is really what we're discussing. And I understand what Bill's saying, we're not getting a lot of depth offshore, but the depth of the berthing area is now increasing by that 11 feet. So, because the DEC wants the boat to be in 2.5 feet of water. So that's really the issue, why we're looking for leniency to the 4-foot code, which we've always done before on outside wood. Even with the safe land dock, even with a lot of the docks, we've done historically in the past. We still put a 100-foot rule, and we don't handcuff the homeowner by the 4-foot rule. So we're basically looking for input on, explaining to you why these two plans are in front of you. One is missing the code completely, and one's just a little bit more logical.
We took the, that into account in the new code, but if you reach 4 feet, the exception in the new code is if you don't reach 4 feet at the end of your dock, then you can extend the dock, and you reach 4 feet at 88 or 84, whatever it is, but you reach the 4 feet. So the way we've codified that exception that we used to apply under the old code is that if you don't get to 4 feet, even if you're a 100-foot long dock, then you can extend it. But it wouldn't apply to this because you hit 4 feet. So you wouldn't get to the longer dock. Just right, because you raised that as a point in your application.
So is the shorter dock palatable for this committee?
I'm just pointing out what I see as deficiencies with plans.
Anybody, do we want to go to commentary from the? Or,
Yeah, I can step away, and like I said, we're just looking for your blessing either way, and we're gonna have a conversation with you guys. So I'll let other people talk and see.
I think if we're gonna
Yes.
approve the dock, I think having a little bit longer length in an area where we know there's waves and it would seem to make sense that you do not want a boat sitting on the bottom or hitting the bottom at any point. So to have a little bit of leeway and still being reasonable like we have tried to be in the past makes more sense than allowing the dock and then the guy not being able to use it. It's just, you try to get to some common sense here in the whole scheme.
It probably allows him not to, if the dock was shorter, it allows him to, he'd have to go further along the shore, and then it would be harder to make the turn as quickly. This is, we're splitting hairs a little bit here, but, I think it just, I agree with Al.
Yeah. The person who has their hand raised is the applicant.
Oh, okay. Okay. Yes.
So, yeah.
Go ahead. Yeah, go ahead. I think we'll do that from the applicant side, and then we'll go through. I think we have comments from the audience in opposition, but
Muted, so.
John, you gotta unmute.
You just did.
Yeah, I muted. Sorry, it took me a second there.
hey, John.
Can you hear me?
Yes.
I just wanted to go over confirmation of those boat sizes, and that's when I raised my hand. If that would be helpful. There's the 2 mooring balls right now, and there's an existing 36-foot boat, and there's an existing 27-foot boat. And so the original intention and design of that dock, I think, which Jack was going through, was to pull up to have that safe fixed point of egress or just making it easier, not dealing with the mooring ball, which you guys know of. And either approaching that dock from the outside, and then of course using the dock to pull it around for the mooring or the docking on the inside of that L, right? Inside the splashboards, and then having the 27-foot nest inside of that. So those are the 2 boats that are on hand, and those are the 2 boats that are intended to stay there and for that original request. And then from my review of that original 100-foot dock plan as well, you'll see on the one side of it, Jack, I'm sure you can point that out, that 100-foot mark, I guess it would be what's left looking out the water, was within the 4-foot, I believe that's correct, 4-foot depth. But the other side have been extended out to that 4.7-foot range, and that was from the original Jack Estella plan. But those are the comments I had.
Thank you.
Yeah.
That was good. I was figuring we'd go to the audience and then come back and we can have a final comments from the rest of the board and then.
Sounds good.
Does that sound reasonable? Okay.
Sure.
All right. Stella, you would just introduce yourself.
Hi, everyone. I'm Stella Lagutis, and I'm representing the Shelter Island Heights property owners court. I have now noted the 3-day rule, so you will be getting emails from me within 3 days, so thanks for that. I just wanted to amplify a couple of things that I wrote in the email, and I think they're pretty important. Number one, we have done a FOIL of all the docks that are on vacant property. And according to the information we were able to find, with the exception of one, those docks are either, the docks that are on vacant property are pre-existing non-conforming prior to when the code went into place. And it could very well be that those docks were replaced or strengthened or maintained, but you have a pre-existing structure and it predated the code. So the whole concept of having a vacant lot with no primary structure is a moot point there. There are a handful of vacant parcels that belong to commercial, such as the Shelter Island Yacht Club. But there's only one residential dock that we could find that did not have a primary structure on it. So.
Where was that?
I think on Brander.
There's one in Deering Harbor
Well,
too. I just off the top of my head.
I'm just saying from what we were able to find out, and that's kind of, so maybe more homework needs to get done, but that's what we found. The code's pretty clear about needing a primary structure in that zone. And it doesn't say that if the house is across the street or if the deeds are tethered, which by the way, we did a search of the deeds. There's nothing that tethers those two parcels together. And even if the deeds were changed to put a covenant and a restriction in, it's our stance that that doesn't satisfy what the code says. The code says standalone parcel, it's got its own tax map number. Even when you submit, it says submit the survey based on the parcel you're talking about. That was submitted. The other house at One Bluff was not submitted. So we believe it's a really valid point. And maybe you all will say, not for this group, the WMAC, maybe it's more of a town board issue. But again, I just wanted to amplify that. The last two things I'll say is, number one, for some reason, the applicant continues to measure from the property line where this dock's going to be to the rope area at the beach club or to the dock at the beach club. And yes, we're not arguing that's over 300 feet. But the point is, we've got cabanas that are almost up to, and they are pre-existing non-conforming, they are almost up to our westerly property line, and people swim there. So it's not like we make people, we say, oh, get out of the water, you have to go into the swim ropes. They actually do swim there. So, and that's less than 100 feet, one property line to another property line. So we do believe it's a safety issue, especially since, I've heard northeast winds and bad winds and the tide. I mean, it's not a safe area. And I know the last time you all talked about it, some of you said, well, it kind of meets the wording of the code, but is that really in the best interest of people who are swimming and fishing and doing their thing? I don't know. And then last but not least, I'll say that we don't want any dock there. as you may have been able to pick up. But we also agree that shorter could in fact be more dangerous. So we prefer 0, because you've got to do a wider turn, we believe, and that kind of gets closer to the beach club. And if you did have time to read the letter from our head lifeguard, Brianna Sobusky, there was a problem with a boat. It wasn't a pike boat, it was a nearby boat on another mooring. And that boat just lost power and started going right to our dock where kids were swimming in the water and they had to be asked to get out. So it's not a safe area, and I just wanted to underscore that with you. And I'd be happy to answer questions if you like. Thank you.
Thank you.
So just note for the record that what the beach club did submit a letter. Maybe I'll, go ahead.
Tim Bertel, I live at 5 Bluff Avenue, but my niece and I co-own property at 8 Bluff Avenue, which is adjacent to the Pike property. I've brought up many points about my objections to a previous dock and also to this dock, and a number of them all relate to the area and the rough waters. You mentioned it. And one thing I want to point out is there's currently a mooring between the Pike property and the beach club. And so this is actually a handout that was given by the team at a previous meeting. And it shows the mooring here belongs to your neighbor, and these are the moorings, and it shows the swing of the boats. And so you're asking, let's say in the afternoon when the winds come up, a boat wants to return here. The navigation here needs to be thought about. And again, some have argued that the waters actually don't necessitate splashboards, but if it's true that the waters are calmer than some people say they are, then why put the splashboards in? And finally, the last thing I'll say is, and this was actually mentioned by one of you at one of your meetings, is that the way things are going, you're going to end up with a number of docks in that area. So again, it's sort of situation where you have moorings, docks, you have people swimming, paddleboarding, all in an area, plus you have the beach club, and I support their stance. It's just too many docks, the potential for too many docks within a small area. So, thank you.
Yes.
My name is Lorraine Walker, and I live above the beach club on 3 Bluff Avenue. And I'll make this very short. A whole group of us, about 138 people, last year when this first came up, signed a petition asking the town not to approve a dock in this area because of the safety concerns that everybody's expressed at the beach club. There's swimmers, there's paddleboarders, there's people walking. But I wanted to show you, visualize what we're talking about. This is a picture of the beach club. I made you all a copy, maybe you've seen it. Okay. So that's the picture of the beach club. And you can see the moorings that are currently there, how close they are right now. Introducing a dock, in addition to the Bevan Place mooring and the other moorings that are there, are going to make this really difficult for all of us at the club for safety. This is also what the Heights talked about in terms of the fence. This is the fence that is the less than 100 feet from the proposed dock. And you can see again, this group of people is all the way up to, this is the beach club, and you already have a boat here. You already have a boat here that's the Bevan mooring and the Pikes mooring. So yeah, again, you're just seeing what this represents to us. And then the last thing, again, I appreciate that y'all read the letter, was just the map again. And again, this is Heights point out, it's the kids swimming area that's cordoned off. is the adult swimming area, because nobody swims in the kids swimming area, and the bed and mooring, which makes this even more complicated. More, aside, they're probably going to ask for a dock as well. So we ask you really to consider, it's not about a dock, it's about this area and the safety for all the people that feel like this is their communities. Thank you for your time.
Anybody else? Online? Okay, we can go to online. Oh,
Yeah, I got a question.
yes.
Can I go up?
Sure.
No, thank you.
It's related to this, to Pike?
Yes.
Okay,
Yeah,
yeah.
absolutely.
Yeah.
So what I hear is you have safety concerns and you also have riparian rights, right? So I don't have a dog in fight, I do moorings, I did a mooring out there. I hope it's not interfering with, the dock or the beach club. It might have to be moved, if it is. But the only thing that I'm curious about is because I don't want to see, I don't like if, that somebody being denied the riparian right if they exist, you have to sort through that if it's the property, whatever. But if it does exist, what is the right to moor a certain type of boat, right? Because now he's bringing into the question that he owns a 36 and a 27 or something foot boat. Is it your responsibility to grant a riparian right to facilitate that boat specifically? In that you have to build a dock so that it can handle it? Does riparian rights mean access, navigable waters, but with a boat that you own or a boat that you should have for that area? Or could have for that area? So not necessarily, I don't want to deny the guy the rights, but maybe you don't have to give him, the L, maybe you don't have to give him the splashboard, but, you have certain requirements. I think width is important because of maybe, going down there when it's windy or something. But that's something for you to decide, right? But I don't want to see it take away anybody's rights. Actually,
I believe that it's in the code, it actually says reasonable access to waterways, right? I believe.
Well, that's
That's open to interpretation.
navigable is open to interpretation, reasonable is open to interpretation. There's a whole stack of cases on these issues. Council's provided a bunch of cases which argue for their position. There are plenty of cases that argue otherwise. But yeah, it's somewhat of an open issue.
In our code, the definition of riparian rights in the code is the entitlement of the owner of upland property fronting on a body of water to reasonable access to and use of such water. That's,
Yeah.
Tim, we'll go around and we can come back to you.
I'll wait, I should raise the question.
Yeah, so, John, we've actually heard from you. Kelly Risotto.
Hi, everybody. How you doing? I just want to point out a couple of things. There's a lot of discussion with regards to the safety and the use of the area, but the dock is actually going to provide safer access versus using the existing moorings. So, the dock, there's one way in and one way out into that L portion. We're not increasing the number of vessels that'll be in this area, the use of the vessels. You're making it easier and safer for the people using those vessels to get to shore. There's nothing that's going closer to the beach club than already is. That someone spoke about a vessel that lost power last year. A dock has nothing to do with that. As a matter of fact, it's not even relevant. There are vessels that operate in this area all the time. Whether a dock is proposed here and approved here has nothing to do with that. I just wanted to point that out because there seems to be a lot of discussion about that. And then the other thing, and I with regards to the plans and the scale, the 100-foot dock reached a depth of 4.7 feet at low tide, and the shorter dock reached a depth of 4 feet at low tide. So based on the plans that the plans that were to scale, the difference in water depth is 0.7 feet, which is pretty significant when you're talking about those depths. So you know, desire, that desire to have that 11.5 feet longer to get 0.7 feet is not a trivial, it's not a trivial depth. I just wanted to point those things out and answer any questions.
Thank you.
According to the plan for the 88.5-foot dock, if you add the additional 11.5 feet according to the scale provided with that plan, it does not get you to 4.7 feet. It gets you to 4.3 feet. So I point out the discrepancy between the two set of plans. I don't understand it, but I didn't prepare the plans. But that's the math. That's what shows up on the two different plans we have in front of us. And as far as measurements go, the other measurements that I noted in this, the applicant has pointed out the 390-foot distance, that it's from one dock to the other. It's really less than 100 feet from property line to property line. And in their presentation, applicant states that Shelter Island does not have a setback for swimming areas, but they actually do. In chapter 40, there is a 100-foot setback for a swimming area, which this would not provide. And I think that trying to bring a boat into the 100-foot dock or the 88-foot dock, given the water conditions, the wave action, the currents that everyone's referring to, and what they claim necessitates splashboards, would require a vessel to try to get through a gauntlet of other boats in trying to navigate to get into that dock, and would drive it potentially into that swim area. So I think it presents a dangerous situation. As far as the vacant property issue, the dock is considered an accessory under Chapter 133. And supposedly you cannot build a accessory on a vacant lot unless there is a primary structure on that lot. I don't know the building code in and out, but that seems to be something that should be looked into. It's been addressed in our new code.
Matt, yeah, if I could just offer one point of clarity on the town code, the 100-foot that you're just referencing. The town code just the same as New York State nav law. It does not prohibit vessel operation within 100 feet of swim or swim area or anything like that. It restricts that operation to 5 miles an hour or less, right? The same as around any other dock anywhere. And basically anything that you should not hit, they want you to be at a minimally reduced speed, so 5 miles an hour or less. Just for clarity, it's not an exclusion for operation in that area.
Thank you. John Featherman, you have your hand up online? Is that from before?
No, it's for another comment. Can I respond to Stella's comments, please? And then Lorraine, the neighbor's comments, please.
Okay, go ahead.
Yeah, so Stella has repeatedly brought up the fact that the dock is a danger, because I don't understand the assumption that there's going to be more boat traffic. There's 2 existing mooring balls that belong to this owner. The pikes, the intended use is the same, it's just having a fixed point. So there isn't an increased amount of traffic with these 2 boats. Also, maybe perhaps the comment of weaving around the existing boats to get to this dock. Well, 2 of those mooring balls are the pikes to be replaced by this dock. That's the point. So there wouldn't be weaving around. The This boat is the boat that did come off of its mooring ball and float towards that zone. That had nothing to do with us, but that is my understanding of it. And then Lorraine, I believe, is the neighbor who spoke out.
Please, if you would
and
address your comments to the chair or to the committee, please, not to other people in the audience. Please.
Okay, well, to the committee, the neighbor's comments, clearly the neighbors do not wish to have this dock, but I just think it's important to understand that the neighbor is the same neighbor that chose to trespass and cut down the Pike's hedge in betterment of her water view. So it's clear that, you know, she doesn't want a dock out on the beach, but it's also clear to the extremes that she will take to improve her own situation. I think it's important for everyone to understand that. Thank you.
I'm not sure that that's relevant to the topic. Yes. Just want to go through give everybody an opportunity to speak first before we go back to second.
Hi, I'm Roy Beard Raymond. I'm also representing the Shelter Island Heights Property Owners Corporation. In previous testimony on the application, it says the two existing moorings are meant to remain. They basically, that was asked before, and they specifically said they had no intention of taking out the existing two moorings. So the dock was an addition to the moorings. That's on the previous testimony as well as the application. So just have note on that.
Thank you. Okay, Tim.
Just two quick questions.
Just come up to the lectern.
Chairman Cho, 5 Bluff Avenue. I'm just a little unclear about what size boat the Pikes are talking about having there. At one point, it was a 27-foot boat, but then at one point, I know they talked about a 36-foot boat. So just like some clarity about that and how many boats we're talking about. Also, at some point, they talked about wanting to keep one of the moorings in case of a hurricane or a nor'easter. But the other thing I just want to reiterate is, again, maneuverability. When you have a dock like this, you have one way of getting to dock your boat. When you have a mooring, you have more flexibility. Depending on the wind and the tide, there's a very strong current that goes through here, depending on which way the tide is going. And I know this because I swim there and swim against it. So I just think, again, and you've got the Bevan mooring here, so it's not a matter of looking at this picture and looking at pike moorings that may not be there anymore. You've got another mooring on a neighboring property, which the boat has to sort of, depending on the wind, the tides, has to maneuver to get to its boat. So I just think, again, keeping the moorings, which I know they don't want to do, but at least it allows them more flexibility in terms of docking their boats.
Take this moment. I mean, there were. I said earlier with the communications that there were several letters that had come in. I just wanted to note those. I'm not going to read them, but there was a note that came in from John Pyle Spellman, John and Eliza Pyle Spellman, who were opposed to the dock. There was another note from Yvonne Wibb at 3 Riverly Place, who appears to be opposed to the dock as well. I think the other people that wrote in have already spoken this evening, but we did get something from Lorraine Walker. Oh, and then Stephen, I think there's also a note from Stephen Walker. Right. Jessica, is that all the, that's all the, okay. And Stella in the Heights also submitted a more extensive letter. Any other comments from the floor at this moment?
Could we clarify one or two things that were discussed in reply to the comments?
Sure.
Of the applicant? Just very briefly. I know this was discussed at length a little bit here. The distance from property line to property line, when we looked at GIS, it's showing at least 100 feet. The trust is proposing at 6 Bluff. The trust owns the northerly adjacent piece that's got about 50 feet of frontage. And then I believe 3 Bluff is the next northerly adjacent piece. That's got about 50 feet of frontage. So not exactly it's GIS, right? But that's what we looked at when we saw it. So if that distance is a concern, obviously we can fine tune that. And then with respect to vacant properties, we found a number of relatively recent developments where the piece was not it was separated from the main dwelling, across the road, things like that, and I know, Jack looked up some things for us.
Yeah, there's several docks that I've done in recent years, that where, on Winthrop, you go past, second bridge to third bridge, all those parcels are separate parcels, that all those docks are on.
I think the point was that many of them were pre-existing.
These are docks that,
but then there was
whether
one.
this is the old code or the new code, they're docks that, I built within the past, I'm only 54 years old, so it's gotta be within the past, 35 years.
Looking at Jack.
There are several docks, that we've done.
Yeah, no,
Of course, down
I-
by Sunset Beach.
I agree.
You got Steve Masiello's dock, you got Sarah Ward, Mark Bassey's dock down on Winthrop, Oscar Slaughterback, which we just built, which is the first dock after second bridge, which that was just approved by this board, when did I know, 2 years ago maybe, tops?
Yes, yes.
Like right on that, and that's a good point, it's a very similar situation. And like I said, and all those docks, down by Sunset Beach are either, they're granted mostly by easement, where there's not even like ownership, where they've received easement from the town. So this is a situation where this is more like Winthrop, where these properties are owned by the applicants. You know what I'm saying? So we're not really asking for an easement. We're just asking to use a piece of property that we use adjacent to the primary, which has been done. And these are the things that the girls, they said, Jack, you gotta come up with something. And I said, these are the ones that I built within my memory, without going through all the docks on Shelter Island. But all those docks, if you go down, I just investigated the ones on Winthrop between Second and Third Bridge. And I'm sure if I went further down towards Shore Road, which they changed to Harbor now, through Deering Harbor, which, historically you guys didn't have jurisdiction on, which the town of Deering Harbor did give their jurisdiction up to you guys. I did not investigate those docks to see if they were actually separate parcels. But then you're talking about, that's another 12 examples, 15 examples, because every single one of those is on the other side of the road. I don't know if they pay separate taxes or the separate tax numbers. But certainly, it would seem that they're on different parcels, but I did look at the ones on Winthrop. So as far as this being a dock without a primary, it's not a really good fight. They're talking about the swimming and stuff like that. People swim off of every beach, every road end, anywhere you go. And I feel that accessing this dock with a boat is easier for the applicant and safer to get into it. Approaching a mooring is not necessarily the easiest thing to do. So that was another thing. You guys all are on the water. You guys all have boats. You all do it every day. What's easier, approaching a dock or a mooring? What's safer? Obviously, approaching the dock. You have a hard structure where there's less movement. Of course, we use moorings, and a lot of times we put the moorings in association with the dock in case it gets too rough, for the boat to be at the dock. They call them storm moorings or whatever, but a lot of the docks we apply for, there's a mooring in association with the dock. And as far as these moorings being offset, as far as the, we could even tweak where the moorings are located, that they'd be like in line with the dock. One further in for a smaller boat, one further out. You guys maintain 1,500 feet of, shoreline rights. So that's something that could be done. We could, put the moorings so they're more of a straight line with the dock, within the property rather than side by side, and make the approach lane a little bit more accessible. So there are other options with the moorings. But like I said, I'm here if you got any more questions. And like I said, ultimately, we came up with this second shorter plan to adhere to the code. And I think the longer dock works better for the applicant. The furthing, it's like I said, it's not the water depths. And I think what Bill was looking at, it's just some of the water depths, when you put them in the computer, are deleted out. Like, if the number hits right on it, and I'm looking at the plan, it's like, you're on the computer, and where a 36 landed, like where a measurement landed right on a bathymetric number, it deleted it. And if it was just off, it left the bathymetric number. So I'm looking at it going, because it's the same template, it's the same thing with the same dock on it.
I know, but just put a ruler on it and it doesn't get you there.
Not an exact science.
Yeah.
I mean, I think, you know, like you're talking about 3 inches.
Rather than an inch of water, 2 inches of water, it's lengthening the berthing area of the boat, the more area of 2.5 feet of water. So we're not arguing the 4-point contour or the 2.5 contour. We're kind of saying that we need a lengthened berthing area just because it'll be a more usable facility. If the shorter one is more palatable to this committee, just tell me that. And, or you can vote on it in a way that you say, hey, you know, I'm fine with the 100, I'm fine with the 88. It's just, we're looking to see what you guys want to do and give you options, what you feel is more appropriate in this location. Because like I said, the safe hand dock at its length, like 125 feet, and Josh absolutely loves the dock. And it's a very much used dock, and his boat stays there all summer. And we haven't had any problems with the boat, you know. And like I said, you know, it's the safe hand dock works very well.
You had mentioned that you thought that the max that you could get at this dock was 30 feet, a boat, 30 foot long.
Yeah, I mean, if we had the 100-foot dock,
Would
there would be,
the,
there's so from the L to the 2.5 contour, it's about 35 feet. Of course, you need a little bit of wiggle room in there. Because like I said, the New York State DEC wants that boat to be in 2.5 feet of water.
is there an appetite to limit the size to the 27-foot boat or no more than 30-foot boat?
Well, the size that goes through the town, like I said, the client is being, you know, willing to talk here.
All right, well, I'm just putting that out there.
But like I said, but it's like whatever dock he gets, it's gonna limit whatever size boat goes in there, you know?
Right. But he has two different sized boats right there, so.
Right, so it's,
I mean, so one of them might not be able to be used there.
looks probably fine.
It makes sense to use the bigger boat on the dock. Instead of, you know,
I don't know, I just put that, you know, like, whatever.
Is there any intention to use the west side of the dock?
Probably maybe for loading and offloading. There's not enough room for dolphins over there for tie-offs. So I wouldn't imagine there would be a lot of docking there besides maybe drop-offs, because that's dead facing the southwest prevailing. You know, that side that you're referring to.
Yep.
Just a couple thoughts on, while you're up there, on the, it seems to me that one of the challenges, and like, you know, Bert actually referenced this, the design of the dock is actually creating a bunch of the problems in itself by actually having the L in the first place. So if you didn't have the L, you wouldn't have the issue of actually, you know, being driven into a certain approach. You wouldn't have the maneuverability issue. Also would have, you actually wouldn't have the steps issue either. That you're pushing yourself by actually putting the L in, you're pushing yourself in closer to the shore. So the design itself causes that problem that you're then seeking redress for. So if it wasn't an L, you wouldn't have that problem.
But the L,
I think you need the splashboards in the L.
you need there.
I think for the environmental, I'm just saying like from a functionality standpoint.
I mean, sure.
But yeah, I appreciate it. It's a lot easier to approach a straight dock though.
You still gotta be able to spin in there. I mean, the boat, in this particular area, I mean, most areas, the boat's gotta be bow out. So no matter what you're gonna do, you're gonna swing into it anyway. In this particular situation, it's not like you're not in a marina where you're gonna back into a slip. You know what I'm saying? It's not like you're gonna approach this dock in reverse and come into your slip. Even on this outside water, you're still gonna swing into the dock, you know, regardless of the L, you know what I'm saying? You're gonna swing into your spot. You're not in a marina, like backing into Couples Harbor or wherever. It's a little bit of a different situation. And you do need the protection, like, you know, like I said, the safe hand dock is right there, it's working perfectly. Josh loves it, and, you know, we're actually just trying to talk to you guys about what is more palatable for you. I think the 100-foot dock works better.
One other point about the L and the dolphins. It seems like I say this often, but it violates the total linear length provision, 5311C3. You have the L, and you have and then you have the dolphins. So based on the 88 foot, you'd have 44 feet of extra, of, you know, the 150% provision, 1.5 times the allowable length. You'd have 44 feet of L or distance to the dolphin, and on the plans, it's 27 feet of L, and then 35 feet to the dolphin. That's more than 44 feet.
I think I'm gonna have to have Peter, like Peter Reach was involved when that part of the code went in a long time ago, and it's never made any sense to me, so. And it's nothing that's ever been, it's nothing that's ever been honored or used in these applications.
Oh, it's been used. It's been used. It's just it's never been violated. So it hasn't come up as an objection. But it's measuring, it's just as it states. I mean, we cleared up a little bit, the language in the new code, because it was a little more difficult to understand in the old code. But it's just taking that linear distance, to your pilings and all of it, just to limit the amount of space that the dock takes up. It's of particular concern when it runs parallel to the shore. When redoing the code, I played around a lot of different designs to see where you ran into trouble with this. It's an unusual provision.
So, I mean, I just assert that it doesn't meet that aspect of the code. It's straight numbers. One number is larger than the other. The safe end dock, is there. I think it's one of the reasons, it is one of the primary reasons that the dock code got changed, because people looked at that situation and said, we didn't think this was going to happen. I think that the voters of the town were like, this is not okay. That was one of the drivers for the change in the code, to see that it's not actually repeated. So I think the citing that as precedent, I find frustrating. It is there, but it's also not loved. Josh might like it, as you said, but I don't know that other people necessarily do. I'm not sure I appreciate it being used as precedent. I guess I'll put my other points out there. I mean, I do think that the riparian rights aspect of things, certainly they have them. I mean, currently, one of the mooring that they have, one of the moorings they have, is a riparian mooring. That's what it's called. It's riparian. So, I mean, whether the riparian rights aspect of the code, again, entitles somebody to build a dock is, I don't believe it does. I know other people disagree with me. I know that we've been around that a bunch of times. I view that reasonable access to and use of the water can be satisfied by a mooring. I think in the context where you're talking about, without some other reason to object to it, or to keep it from happening, I think then then that's okay. But it needs to come into a balanced situation, and that's what that reasonable element of that points out. I think again with the design, I mentioned just now, that the design creates some of the challenges that we're going back to. It's like this, putting in the splashboards, putting in the L. It's trying to create a protected basin offshore. That's what it's doing. I think everybody agrees that. I don't think that riparian rights entitles you to build a protected basin offshore of, in the public waters. Barring some kind of significant impact, okay, maybe, but I think there is an impact. The safety question isn't just about proximity to a swimming area. A swimmer or a kayaker, being seen and being seen in the vicinity of a dock, or particularly one with splashboards, is significant. It's important. I foresee a situation where somebody's swimming. They're swimming along the shore. It's one of the there are areas around the island where you can swim along the shore. Not so many anymore. They're definitely, I think that's it's a benefit, I guess, that the public is slowly losing as docks are built into new areas. But I think if you're swimming along the shore, you've got to swim out and around the dock, or you're paddling along the shore. You'd go out and around. It puts you out into that current. It puts you out into where there's more traffic. And if you can't see around it, if you're dealing with splashboards or whatnot, it makes it more of a concern. I think, and if there's somebody that swims around the end of that L and gets hit by a boat, that's going to be something that it's foreseeable, and the people that put it in would need to take that into account. I think that's all that I particularly had to add in as we're putting in, but I'm sorry.
Pardon, and yeah, I just wanted to address the riparian rights issue because I know it's been talked about, and I think we agree more than we disagree, right? It's what's reasonable, which is open for interpretation, but I think what's important is the code allows docks under certain circumstances and criteria, correct? And so we revised the plan to meet, now that you're raising the dolphin issue, we'll take a little closer look at that, but that issue aside, we reduced the length to meet the conditional water depth to satisfy the conditions for a dock permit. So the code permits a dock at certain parameters, we're meeting those parameters, and that's what is reasonable, and that's our approach to this.
Thank you. Thank you. Thoughts? Sure.
I think even
no.
I don't know. There's a lot going on.
I think even the people that were detracting from the idea of the dock were saying that they thought that the longer dock would be safer. I think that's a factor. I think, you know, it's a shared resource. It's a shared resource. We all have to, I'm very sympathetic to your side, but we all have to, you know, we're being squeezed in a little bit, but people have a right to have a dock. The next door neighbor has a dock. There are other docks along that shoreline. On the other side of the beach club, you have a ferry. I mean, you know, we all have to kind of live together. And I'm gonna just, one other point, is the Pike Trust, are they members of either the beach club or the Heights Association?
In both.
Yeah.
They're both. So, you know, to speak representing the association, you're not representing one of your members. And maybe the other and some other members that also have docks or are in favor of having docks.
May I counter that or just give you some more info? So I am representing the board of directors.
Right.
I'm not representing the 200 members that live in the Heights. And the board of directors, after looking at this information, feels that it's in the best interest of the majority of people who live in the Heights that the dock not be there. So but I would appreciate the comment.
I mean, that's.
Yeah, and you know, sharing is very important, but they've got the access already through the moorings. They are members of the yacht club, so they can put their larger boat at the yacht club. So like, how much access do you need?
Well.
I mean, it's.
You know, yeah, I mean,
I think there are valid points on all sides.
Right.
So,
Right.
and unfortunately, you're the ones who have to weigh those and make the recommendation one way or the other to the board, and then they've got a bigger job to say yea or nay. So we're just trying to get as many inputs as we can out there for you to consider.
Sure.
And just a quick point, that this dock at 100 feet, it's 35 feet within the pier line. So as fact, you know, the fact of the matter, we're saying people gotta go around and outside of this thing. It's only 100 feet and it's already 35 feet inside of the beach club's dock and the Sapien dock as the crow flies. You know, so it's already inside all of that. And like I said, the beach club dock was just replaced. You know, Sapien's dock is what, 4 or 5 years old now. But there's still an area in between there that's navigable, 35 feet inside of both of those neighboring docks. So it's quite a bit of distance, but as far as people, swimming or paddleboarding or whatever they're doing, it's kind of out of the way.
I guess I'll go. I can see both, sides of the argument here. My personal feeling is that it is not the best place for a dock. I concede that point. But it's the place that the guy owns. And there's room for a dock. He's staying within the code. I know that when the new code was talked about, I know this is under the old code, but when the new code was talked about, there were a few things that elicited, thought about what could be in the new code. One of them had to do with suitable areas. That one thing led to the greatest opposition, and was therefore dropped. There was a couple of places along Silver Beach, same thing. Not a great spot for a dock, but the guy owned the property. He built the dock to code. I guess one person's use of a dock is different than another person's use of a dock. I'm thinking of always a boat, but sometimes the guy likes to go sit on the dock and look at the stars. I have no idea. Go fishing. In this case, I have to say that I would, if you're going to have a dock there at all, I would go for the longer dock because it gives you more room to maneuver in a more safe way. We live on an island. I mean, there are boats everywhere. I live in, a boat in West Neck. There are people swimming all over the place in West Neck. You have to be careful boating and swimming. The prudent swimmer has one of those floats that, the trails if he's swimming in open water. Maybe the beach club could increase their, marked off area to make it a little safer, so that adults could have a marked off spot, that would more define the swimming area so that the chance of getting anybody hit, which is nobody wants that, could be avoided. But I have to say that, given the application, the first one and the revised one, I have to say I'm in favor of either one of them, preferably the one with the longer dock. I would, ask the owner to put a prohibition about how long a boat he could put there, to make it a little safer. Keep it under 30 feet, put the bigger boat over in Deering Harbor if he needs to. Certainly he could pop in there and pick up people at the end of the dock, I suppose, but I wouldn't keep a boat bigger than 30 feet there. So I know, it's a contentious issue and I wish it was an answer, but as Al said, everybody has to share the resource.
Except one more dominant than the other.
Excuse me?
I just think this argument that we have to share resources, if you've got two more docks in that area, aside from the one dock that's there plus the dock that's being proposed, and you have two more docks that could potentially go in there, that's not a shared resource. That's a group of people dominating the waterways to their benefit and not to other people's benefit.
It goes to people's ownership. I mean, did the first guy who built the dock have any more right than the last guy who built the dock?
I pay taxes on that piece of property. So I'm an owner, so what about my rights? It's all about their rights.
I appreciate what you're saying, Tim, but that the right of the guy to have the boat in front of his house on a dock is in the code. If we got rid of the code, I mean, you can say, the town board can say no, ultimately, whatever this board says, and then there's a lawsuit and something will happen.
He already has the boats, James. They got moorings. They have access to the waterfront. They have access to their boats.
I don't disagree, but if you have a piece of property, it's sometimes easier to have a dock if you can afford it. And
I know, but it becomes like an us against them thing. And it's just, it's unfortunate.
I agree that there shouldn't be a dock there, but until the code changes, I think you have to allow.
Well, the code hasn't changed, but the.
It has been changed, but it hasn't ruled out that dock.
Under the new code, there are all sorts of different criteria that the dock would be examined under. Even though the unsuitable was put out, there's still the same list of criteria that.
Right. I mean, we can hold them to 4 feet, and we can do this, and so it's 3 inches less than where the dock would have been at 11 feet longer, but does it make it safer? Is it?
It restricts the size of the boat that would be used, which restricts the area it's required to navigate into it. And it seems to make, if they were going to approve a dock.
It actually exacerbates the problem of the boat navigating into it by making it shorter.
So you need a smaller boat.
Well, it would aid either boat.
Even, you're probably going to take the same spin whichever size boat. But I don't mind having a limited size boat there.
Just really quick.
Yeah, Scott.
Just to clarify or to add or to whatever, the town attorney. Yes,
If people can't see you.
John Stalakis, the town attorney did make a determination that the older code applies, given when the DC application was made. So I know we're talking about
We know
old
that.
code, new code.
Just under the old code, yeah, just to be clear. I should have clarified that at the beginning, sorry.
I don't think that's the best spot for a dock, but it does seem to, wherever it lands with the rules, it does. It's definitely a tricky spot to put a boat. I'm picturing how I would dock in that particular spot, and it's involved. And if you have a flooding tide, it's going to take some maneuvering aids to really get out of there safely. I mean, fortunately, that error puts you away from the beach club, but not nearer to it. So I'd rather see that boat go towards his own dock than towards swimmers, obviously. But it's definitely a challenging spot, and there's a reason there are a bunch of wave mitigating things there. It's to try to make it usable, but it is, I would say, almost above the average boater capacity to use that safely, even at the 100 foot. The 100 foot is definitely, if that dock gets allowed, in my opinion, it should be the longer of the two personally, because I think if by the time you have a structure there, you might as well make it as safe as you possibly can.
Tom, you?
I
don't report to you.
I really don't have much here. I'm more listening to what people have to say, and I second that notion there. That's a very tricky spot.
Yeah, I mean, those two particular boats have
the
maneuvering
thing
aids.
that bothers me the most about this application is the fact that this is located on a property that I would deem as buildable, and there's no primary structure. I know we've discussed this, but that's my biggest problem with this application is the fact that there is no primary structure on this property. I know that everybody says, oh, well, they've done this before. This is a buildable lot. A lot of those lots that you're talking about were not buildable, or they were connected to the lot across the street. Right? This is a separate lot. There's no house on it.
Separate lot. I'm not sure how buildable it is. It might be.
It's on a cliff.
Careful what you wish for, though.
Yeah, right.
Yeah.
Well, my point is that, it's a lot that isn't improved upon already, and there's no primary structure, and that's my problem with the application. When it comes to navigability, small dock versus large dock, it's a tricky spot either way. Longer dock allows for a larger boat, harder to maneuver. That can go either way. But my concern is with the lack of a primary residence on the property. Whether or not the lot's buildable or not, the fact is that there's no primary structure there. And the dock is considered an accessory. And that is my problem. A lot of good points. Safety issues have come up. On a separate note, I think that we might want to take a look at the moorings the positioning of the moorings that are there. That's a whole nother story. I think that would be a good idea. That's really what I have to say about it.
Of course, the boats using the dock are not on the mooring. So, your congestion wise, you're sort of like, hopefully it's only the smaller boat using the dock, but whatever, but to your point about the accessory thing, for the most part, I agree about that, putting a little building, but like I said, be careful what you wish for it. Okay, I'd rather see the dock there with no house than a giant house or a house in the way and then the dock. So, you know what I'm saying?
Yeah, I can see that point, yeah.
Anyway.
I think our code is reasonably, I mean, it's not totally silent on the question of primary structure, but we do actually have a reference in 5311B which derives the applicable setbacks from a principal dwelling on the site. But beyond that, so it kind of presumes that there's a principal dwelling on the site. But I don't know that it specifies. I think that's a separate.
Not the old one.
Separate. No, it does. So the other.
I just need one last comment.
Sure. Oh, yeah. Actually, can we wait? We have somebody, Nick Nakos online. Your hand is raised.
Hi, gentlemen. Just two quick points. The lot is definitely not buildable. It's on a very steep incline. And so there is no, it's putting a primary structure there is not feasible. Second point, we are working on, and we're looking at combining that with One Bluff, which is the primary structure of the property. They've historically run together. They were acquired together many years ago. And so the lots, they do go together. So that's something we're looking at combining, and it's something we would, be open to having as a condition of granting a permit. So just those two quick points.
Thank you. Tim, and then
I don't know how you do that. But
Yeah, I just want to say something, and that is, I'm on 2 town committees, and I head a committee, and, your committee is hard, you have to make these decisions, and they're not easy. And I sympathize with what you're, just to make that clear, but the other thing is, this keeps coming up about this area. When the Saban dock was approved, even those who voted for it, because it was in the code, made the comment that this was not a great place for a dock. And this is coming up again tonight, and it's come up previously. So you're an advisory committee, but what are we advising people to do? Just because it's in the code or they can do it, is this really is this really something we should be advising people to do, to build a structure in an area that the committee actually doesn't feel confident as a place for a dock?
Lori again. I'm just comment that on the suggestion that the lot was not buildable. Has the town made a determination that that lot is not a buildable lot? Because I haven't seen any documentation that says that from anybody.
yeah, it was one of my questions. I was going to ask council if they knew whether it was buildable or not.
Yeah, because usually that comes out of the building department, and there's nothing in the file of the building department that says that's not a buildable lot.
Challenging.
Yeah, I don't know that we have
Yeah. Not within our purview.
Anybody else have anything to say?
Do you guys have any more comments?
I don't have any more, other than, when we.
I think we can talk about this.
That's what I'm actually going to request.
Yeah.
A lot of times we'll take these roll call votes and move on to the town council. Basically, what's in front of us is the shorter dock, the smaller dock, or no. So basically what I'm looking for is your blessing for the longer dock, so I think it'll work better. And we move on to the town council. I could reach out to Mark, because, like with these controversial things, I feel bad not having the full board here. Hopefully Mark is on vacation somewhere and he's all right. But to reach out and get his input on this also, just, with maybe a note to the town board on how he feels. But having the 6 of you guys here, I would like to do a roll call vote that we've done in the past, what your feelings are, which doc you would prefer, or.
We would do that.
Yeah.
Anyway.
Yeah.
Thank you at that point.
And Mark's vote or opinion doesn't matter because he's not here, so it's, I mean,
For the
it's
vote-
nice to consider it, but it wouldn't have any
If
weight.
he's speaking to the town board, it might.
He can send a letter.
Yeah, does he have the ability to send a letter even though he's not here? I know he can't vote in this, but I'm asking more for a roll call, because there's three options on the table right now.
Yeah, no, his opinion would.
I mean, how do we want to have a vote on each proposal?
I think we just go around and see what, like he said, long, short, or no.
No's are
Yeah. I think we'll go long, and I'm definitely gonna say yes. We have had a number of controversial docs recently in the last couple of years. And ultimately, whether it was the town board or it ended up in a court, the people ended up with the docks. I'd rather not see our money go to, my tax dollars go into to fight something that meets the code and the person wants. And as long as we're gonna do it, let's do it safely, give them 100 feet.
I'm good, as I was, I think, last time with a 100-foot dock, even though I think, again, it's not the best place for a dock. I have to vote for it.
I'm opposed. And I do think that the provision I raised about the full year length does make it actually not compliant with the code. So I would reject that assertion that keeps on being made that it actually is compliant. It is not. I do think that the design of the dock creates problems for itself, and it's created some of those issues, not directly related to access to the waterways. So I would be a no.
As I just stated, I believe that, there should be a primary residence on the lot, and not be a vacant lot with an accessory structure on it. It also, I believe I've stated in the past that I don't feel that it's a safe place for a dock. But my opinion of no is more so on the lack of a primary residence on the property.
So you would be?
I'm a no, yes.
I'm also opposed. During the SAPIN review, all 6 members of the then members of the WMAC considered it an unsuitable area, a dangerous area. Again, during the review for the dock code, all 6 members said it was a unreasonable, unsuitable area for a dock. I still considered an unsuitable area. I think creates a dangerous situation for the beach club. And I think that if a dock were approved, if the town board did decide to approve a dock, I would say the shorter dock. And I would also say that the west side of the dock should be prohibited for the maintenance or even any use of a vessel on the west side of the dock, because that would then impose a dangerous situation on that neighbor and violate his riparian rights to a safe area. So for those reasons, I'm opposed.
And then, I think I'm in favor of the longer dock. It is a very challenging place to have a dock. I think they've taken precautions to try to better the safety of the boat there. I'm pretty against the smaller dock personally. And I personally think that if this is granted, I think we should encourage or, if we can, require the rearrangement of those moorings just to facilitate an easier coming and going from the dock. I don't see why we wouldn't do that. I understand that one of the boats could be on the dock, but I think we just eliminate that as a possible issue, or arrange them in a way that we can discourage that from being an issue at least.
So we have 3 and 3, 3 for the long structure and 3 opposed. Thank you. We have A couple other, well, actually, do we have any other business out there? I know I had one, well, Tom actually had some.
I had a few things, if somebody else doesn't have something.
And then also, I think, is Bert still here? Bert? The application for, we just saw your, I guess your other application about swapping locations. And so I think we can take that up next month. Okay.
Yeah, if you don't mind doing a little visit down there, take a look.
Thank you.
Sort it out.
All right. So to Tom, you had something you wanted to.
Yeah, I got a couple things. Just real quick, I attended the Working Waterfront Committee. So last week, I believe it was Tuesday. It was basically the meeting wasn't much to report on it. It was more so the going over the rules and the protocols and whatnot of how the meetings are gonna happen. This Working Waterfront Committee was, it's based on the Suffolk County Farmland Committee. It's based off of their actions. So it's basically the preservation of development rights. And that's pretty much what it is. They develop it, the first two applications we covered were two marinas, and Suffolk County was seeking to purchase the development rights. And the idea is to keep marinas and working for waterfront from becoming condominiums and hotels. And I'm hoping that something can come of this that can help the town in regards to either increasing our working waterfront or better utilizing what we have. We're in a unique situation here in town of Shelter Island where we just don't have a lot, and there's not a lot of options available. But I'm hoping that maybe something will come of it. Maybe there'll be some grant monies to do something with what we have, or down the line, maybe someone can offer a property for sale. But at any rate, that was what was going on there. The two applications we did cover, I had a problem with the first one because it was basically, it looked like an incomplete package. It was not like we get an application and there's certain things in there. First application was nothing more than 6 photographs and what I considered a sales pitch from the property owner. So I abstained from voting on that because of the lack of information that was presented. The second application, which was another marina, it was voted yes to pass it on to the next stage of the process. We're only one stage, and I guess a multiple stage process for acquiring these. Yeah.
Can I ask you where they are?
Oh, yeah, they were up island, nothing close to here. The two properties were, one of them was in Remsenburg Marina. And that was the one that was lacking a lot of information. And the other one was Hampton Shipyard and Marina. The latter had more potential for uses. There's a whole side of this lot on the latter that was discussed, aquaculture gear storage.
So this was vacant land, town-owned land?
No, this is actually private property owned by a marina. It's a marina
So,
complex.
like Steve Clark decided to make a hotel there.
Exactly, it's to protect the I guess it was one with the covenant of the property, yeah, to protect what's going on there now, yeah.
I think what's interesting in Sag Harbor, in the cove, there were way up inside, there were two marinas, and one of them was just, I don't know, I guess it was sold to the town or the village of Sag Harbor, and next door to Ship Ashore. And now the town is, the village is operating it.
Oh, okay.
As a marina.
As a marina.
Yeah, but- okay, so, yeah.
Interesting.
Didn't really get
So
taken
no
out,
condos. Yeah, no condos, huh? That's interesting. Okay.
Town decides to build condos.
Yeah.
That's the town. Well, that's a house.
housing plan.
Show you, right, maybe.
So that's pretty much what that was about, this 17-member board, committee board, and,
Is there anybody else from Shelter Island on it?
no, I am the only, representative for Shelter Island. It was discussed, with Amber the other day that I would bring information back and we can keep Joe Fenora in the loop, because I believe that was your second choice. So we will be doing that as a backup, just in case, have two people aware of what's going on in the committee.
Good. Right.
And like I said, I'm not sure how it can help, but maybe there's something there and I'm gonna, just stick with it and
Good.
hopefully something can come of that. My second issue I want to bring up is there was a packet, I believe. Did we get that packet with us?
Leases.
Yeah.
The aquaculture lease program. That comment period is up May 10th. That's the last day they received comments. There's 3 new applications, I believe they call them inspiring shellfish growth at one letter I received. There is, the maps and everything are in here for the coordinates and all that. I'm more concerned with the overall Suffolk County lease program, the oyster aquaculture lease program as a whole. After what happened this winter, I've sent out a draft letter I've been circulating around the East End, hoping to collect signatures on it. And I've also sent a personal letter to, I've circulated that letter around the East End as well, and also sent it to Congressman Lolota. And I'd like to read the draft letter because basically what I believe, I'm asking for this committee as well as the town board to take a stance and publicly announce what their position is on this lease program. This letter is the letter that I'm currently circulating around collecting signatures on. To whom it may concern, we the undersigned are demanding an immediate stop to any expansion of the Suffolk County Aquaculture Lease Program and all aquaculturists on private lands and leased lands that lost gear and ice this winter be held accountable. Steep fines and revocation of permits and leases is warranted and expected. We also demand regulations be imposed on all remaining aquaculture permits and sites to prevent this from happening again. The following actions must be taken immediately. All pieces of aquaculture gear must have affixed to it a sturdy trap tag style tag. Gear type including but not limited to cages, bases, trays, tops, bags, racks, lanterns must have a tag affixed to it. Tags must show the name, phone number, and permit number of the owner. 2, all floats must be permanently marked with a permit number. 3, all aquaculture sites, private and leased, must be fully winterized no later than November 1st. 4, underwater inspections of all lease sites currently occupied for use in compliance and ghost gear and previously occupied sites must be inspected to ensure the sites do not contain ghost gear. 5, all unauthorized gear and ghost gear must be removed. This environmental disaster, lost aquaculture gear, that has occurred this winter was avoidable and is a direct result of irresponsible aquaculture operations that did not winterize their gear. This disaster is a direct threat to public safety and property, and the threat will remain for years to come. This disaster was avoidable. To offer financial assistance to those irresponsible losses after this disaster is absurd and would be irresponsible. It will be a risk to public safety to allow these aquaculturists to replace what was lost and irresponsible to allow their permit and leases to continue. Any funding obtained as a result of this disaster, including fines, should be set aside to cover cleanup costs, and a separate must be set up for wild-caught seafood harvesters to immediately replace, repair, and help with gear damage and losses in real time. This fund must also be equipped to exponentially re-equip and or repair vessels and gear in cases of catastrophic damage. 2, financially assist when future losses occur for years to come as ghost gear appears. Property damage and personal injury will occur for years to come as a result of this pollution. Immediate action is required to protect the public now and for years to come. The Suffolk County Aquaculture Lease Program was a bad idea from the start, and now all residents, boaters, and visitors will suffer the consequences of this ill-fated boondoggle for years to come. Now, this is a draft letter. As I said, it's been circulating around the East End. I'm asking this committee and the town board to sign some form of similar letter against the further expansion of this program.
Can you email that draft to each of us so that we
Yes,
can
I can. Yeah.
read it over? And this is not something you drafted. This is something.
This is my draft. This is my draft, and I've been circulating it, and it's not in correlation with the Waterways Committee, the town, or anybody. This was on my own doing.
Okay.
And I came before the town board before, and read this letter, I believe, and also another personal letter, which I also have here, and I can email that to the members of the committee as well. So once again, I'm asking for support in some sort of official capacity to curb the further expansion of this program. And that is where I think I will leave it.
Thank you. Be good to read. Chance to read it.
That's Bert. Yeah, Bert, you're up.
So, Tom.
I've tried not to keep this a personal.
So anyway, Tom, it sounds, first thing I have to say is, Tom, you went nuclear. You went nuke.
Yes.
And you totally nuke, okay?
Yeah.
Because let's be clear, this was a disaster in terms of weather. And you've got nav buoys from the Coast Guard floating off station. You have docks broken free from the area. You have things coming in from Connecticut. There are ghost gear from conch fishermen, from pot fishermen, from pound trap guys. There's nets in the ocean from countless fishing boats. To single out aquaculturists is, and I'm going to say, I'm saying that it's very personal.
When you address me, just so we can.
Okay, it's a very personal statement that Tom is bringing, very one-sided in the abject of what happened this winter. Okay, take that and using this committee with that voice without hearing it from somebody else is, I think, going to be unfair and dangerous. Let's get it clear. Farming oysters came about, and why it is taking place now, because that wasn't happening 100 years ago, is because the natural set of oysters was destroyed from overfishing, right, pollution, right, and a parasite. So aquaculturists came in to solve a problem that was created or that came about, right? So you can, if you want to create us as boogeymen because we had a problem in 1 year and not try to solve that problem, but trying to eliminate us, I think is a problem.
Clear about that, yeah.
Because that's really what he's talking about. So, so that's what I want to be clear about. So using you and having, and bringing it in one-sided and using, wild fishermen and then putting in these caveats of like, oh, we shouldn't be getting any more money because wild fishermen should be getting it. It's really like, what happened in the Old West between hunters and farmers, guys on the prairie and guys that were hunting the buffalo. There's a natural kind of antagonism that seems to be developing between these two groups. Those of us who, farm one particular area, we work in a contained spot, at least where the wild guys have all range of positions of where they're allowed to work, right? And within their permits of etc. And so, do we want to really go there against our wild guy, the wild guys in the industry? We really don't want to. There's problems with draggers. There's something called bycatch. Aquaculturists, we buy our seed, we don't water them, we don't fertilize them, they grow on the algae that's in the water, right? Okay, so we're sustainable. There is the problem. We did have a problem with gear. It varied across the spectrum. There's no particular standard now because the industry is new of what works for everybody right now. It's not like everybody's got a dragger, drags a net. They know the size of the mesh that's supposed to be, that Tom's supposed to have. The fish are supposed to go through it. There isn't that standard right now in aquaculture because it's new in a sense. We're 15 years into it. We're trying to work it out. There's new technology comes in. There was failures with some of that. I want to lower the temperature, okay? I want to lower the temperature. I don't think you need to sign something like that, okay? I think you need to look at, what we're doing as aquaculturists and the benefit, no cost to the taxpayer that we bring to the area, right? In terms of how the oysters mitigate problems, right? And then also, again, forgot whatever the tourist thing is and then the food chain. But just to help the waters, what we offer is a non-cost to the taxpayer that we buy our seed, these oysters grow, they filter the water, okay? That's different than any other fishery. So I'll leave it right there, okay? So please don't sign something like that. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thanks, Bert.
Okay. One thing before we wrap up, we need to do a review of the vote and rationale for the vote for Pike, I think. It's a split vote for the board. The nays, who wants to take that on?
We need to what?
A review, like a synopsis of the rationale for why people voted yay or voted nay on Pike.
Yeah, but the rest of the board didn't, so it almost is good to get a letter and, especially, the Supreme Court has a majority and minority, especially for a split vote, that would be helpful.
Is there a format to that, or is it just like open-ended?
Open-ended.
So you want each of us to write something?
I was figuring
one person
one, yeah, we don't want to overwhelm them with paper. We want to actually get a concise thing in there, but want to make sure that it's represented. So I would.
Like Jessica could do it.
Maybe she can draft it and then give it to you guys.
Okay. Right.
When is our meeting?
This will be taken up, the continuation of public hearings on April 27th.
April 27th. Oh, all right. So it's not like something we got to do tonight before we leave.
You got 2 weeks. Yeah, you got 2 weeks.
Who's doing it?
Anything else?
Are we summarizing our own thing? Sorry, where did we leave that?
I'm not sure. I was kidding about Jeff.
You three need to talk, and us three need to talk.
So make a pro and a con summary?
Yeah, we'll do the con, you do the.
But separately, be like, hey, and then I'll manage with these three.
Okay.
Okay.
Mark should just do the
I
decide.
think you can review it. I think you'd be in part, like, you would get it right.
Yeah, I mean, I still will put my report to the town board together regardless.
Yeah, that's what I was gonna say, right? I've been involved in a couple of committees and a couple of decisions and a couple of recommendations over the years, right? And what I have found generally works fairly well is to, from the committee, council in this particular, position, forward a formal recommendation on the matter at hand, right? We reviewed the Pike application on this evening. After discussion, we determined X, Y, and Z. If there was some conclusion, you have a split vote, so you couldn't make a recommendation, right? But if you had all voted in favor of something, it would be the WMAC's recommendation that the town board approve, disapprove, whatever happens to be. And that's how we've moved things along in other committees previously. Ties up the end of your work and presents it on a platter for the town board to look at and go, oh, WMAC recommends that we move forward with this, or whatever the case may be. So.
What Jim used to do.
Yeah, I mean, this is what we did with, with Bacon, and, Al wrote up a review, and I wrote up a review of that sort of
In
vote.
addition to the report that I
Exactly.
put together.
Exactly.
Based on the minutes, But if there was something additional in this case that somebody wanted to add, I think that's essentially what you were saying, right?
Basically, we'll have a book prepared like the one council handed out.
Well, you guys are gonna need an attorney in this room for these.
Anything else?
Yeah, let's get out of here.
Are we done?
Make the motion.
Make a motion.
I move to end the meeting.
Second, yeah.
All right, thank you. 8:30.